Thanks for listening to the AZ12 podcast, proudly presented by Little Caesars. Code 1099 to bundle. You can get a classic pepperoni or cheese pizza with crazy bread and a 2-liter, or code LCFREECC free crazy combo with any pizza purchase. All right, sure. Cam Holmes has been a priority recruit for Tommy Lloyd for a long time. There are a lot of different things that make this important. We're going to get to all of them. But first, it's always nice having another 5-star kid on the board, and a little bit of a different 5-star kid in that this is maybe not your typical one-and-done variety.
Yeah, you know what I say. You never know what a one-and-done actually looks like anymore, because a lot of these one-and-dones aren't actually one-and-dones. But technically speaking, or like based on evals, Cam Holmes shouldn't be a one-and-done. He's a different kind of. He's not a Coa-Pete one and done. He's more.
You know what he is? He's a Nick Johnson type. He's a better prospect than Nick Johnson, but the same.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy where if he goes to college 2-3 years and his family handles it right, he's going to be an NBA player. If he goes for a year and get out of there, then it's probably a bad idea. But he's still a really good basketball player. I think he's going to be a really good college player. It's just, again, like he's not a Coa-Pete dominate, see you guys later after my first college game type of deal.
Right. And so let's talk about it, too. I mean, this really comes down to Arizona right now is at an all-time high. And we were talking about this a little bit yesterday with our future coach at AZ12 Prep, Mr. Tyler Warden. Arizona is at an all-time high when it comes to in-state football and basketball talent. It's never been like this before. It's insane. You want to be able, and I think, we're not breaking any news, Tommy Lloyd wants to be able to control the entire Arizona scene. Whoever in Arizona he wants to be able to dip into Southern California, internationally, et cetera, et cetera. But this is still the home base, and Phoenix is that home base. You look at what he's done. You look at the players that he's been able to bring in, and this is just another one. Obviously, there's other guys out there. You got a Diggs. You've got a Cam Williams. That obviously that's for another day. But this also just goes to show you, too, that if Tommy Lloyd really prioritizes you in state, you're likely going to become an Arizona Wildcat.
Right. Like, it's not like football where you kind of reach a little bit sometimes with guys to say, hey, we got this guy in state, right? And both football, ASU does that too sometimes. And then you don't bother with the top 10 guys in football because they're not coming. Basketball, you could still be picky. Like, they're not recruiting guys just because they're in state. Like, there's some talented guys in state that Arizona is never going to call for basketball. Then there's guys like Holmes and Diggs and Williams where it's like, okay, we're going after you.
Right.
And when Tommy Lloyd, generally speaking, really goes all in on a kid and gets involved early, I think that's the key. And you've made that point too. Gets involved early, Arizona becomes really difficult to beat.
And I think the thing about it, too, is that when Tommy Lloyd, when you watch, you and I have watched a lot of coaches over the years, basketball, football, et cetera, et cetera. The thing about Tommy Lloyd is that he's a legitimately good dude. And the more you're around Tommy Lloyd, the more that you understand that he is legitimately a good guy. And so a lot of times what happens is if you enter a recruitment late, a lot of times kids are looking for one of two things. First of all, money, mucho dinero, and it's that dynamic personality. I think that's kind of what made John Calipari such an amazing recruiter all those years, is that you had money, but you also had that dynamic personality in play as well. I wouldn't call anybody on this staff a dynamic personality. I would call them all grinders, good dudes, and good coaches. And what happens then is when you have players or coaches like that, the more and more you're involved with them, I think the more and more a family starts to feel comfortable with it.
Look, Cam Holmes, Mike, you remember during, I don't remember what it was, what tournament in Arizona it was. It's that high school tournament. I forget the name of it. That takes place in Arizona.
In Glendale.
Yeah. He told me that he was going to decide late because he wanted to make sure that coaches weren't BSing him on their roster composition and stuff like that. He wanted to see portal, things like that. One of the things about Tommy, and we've said this before almost as an insult sometimes, is that he's so honest and forthcoming with the way he's going to put a roster together. Cam Holmes was going to decide later in the process in the summer, but Tommy Lloyd basically laid out a plan, and Cam Holmes trusts Tommy Lloyd. And I think that's valuable to the point with a lot of kids beyond money. Dayton may have offered Cam Holmes more. I don't know. I know they came in late with a large offer and all that, but I think the thing with Arizona is they built such a relationship built on trust and honesty that eventually other schools dropped out of the recruitment. Gonzaga, for instance, wasn't a factor that it was at one point. North Carolina dropped out of the recruitment later on when it became obvious that Arizona had built that relationship. Arizona's not going to outbid a lot of schools. They'll put together competitive offers, but I think that trust and relationship factor, and like you said, this coaching staff, they may not have a personality of a Book Richardson without the cheating,
Right.
but they work their butts off, man. Like there's no denying how hard these guys work.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that and what that means. And what I'm going to go back to be the honesty part, too, as well, is that North Carolina, and I know we're going to talk about this a lot of the show tomorrow, North Carolina told Henry Vasar that they basically don't run a center, that they run two power forwards. So Henry's playing center, but he's being told it's a power forward position. Arizona doesn't do that. Like you said, Arizona is very honest. Henry knew exactly how he would play here, and obviously North Carolina bid more money, but Tommy's not going to be the dude that's just going to sit here and just make up something to be able to get you in there. Like you said, I think he's probably honest to a fault, which, in the grand scheme of things, is probably a good thing. But now what you get with Cam Holmes, then, I think it's fair to say when you look at that small forward position for Arizona next year, you're probably, if you're looking at a year two of Dwayne Aristode and you're looking at Yvonne, that's a really nice small forward duo right there. Cam Holmes can do a little bit of everything, and that's always what I've kind of liked about him. He's a lefty, love lefties. He's a pretty good passer. He's a developing shooter. He's a pretty good ball handler. He's kind of that proverbial Jack Army knife, or what is that? Swiss or Jack's?
Yeah, Jack of all Army knives.
Jack of all Swiss knives or something like that. But that's kind of what he is, though, too. And you factor in the fact that he's legitimately 6'5" and long. You got a lot of position flexibility with that young man.
You can, yeah. See, that's the thing. You nailed it. Like you can play Aristode and Cam Holmes on the court at the same time, and it's fine. You could play Yvonne, Holmes, and Aristode on the court at the same time, and I would say that's fine too. 2, 3, 4, right? Like Holmes is a versatile player. He's 6'6". He told me he's still growing. I haven't seen him in a while, but he told me he's still growing. He's got a 6'9" wingspan. He's strong. He can attack the rim. He can shoot. Is he a guy off the dribble that's going to beat you? Probably not. But he plays well. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a good passer. Defensively, I think he's growing and getting stronger, but he's got the body. Like when you look at him, right, you go, okay, he's going to get better there. I think he's going to be a very good multi-year kind of basketball player and a guy that you can, like you said, you could put at the 3. You could, if he gets stronger and bigger, like he tells me he is, he could be a 4 at times, right? So the versatility is a big deal, especially in this day and age.
And I also like the fact too that he comes from an MNBA family. When you've got guys like that have been through the ringers before, that's generally a good thing. Listen, and he could have gone to a lot of different schools, but this always felt like one that he was just going to Arizona. And Arizona played it out. They let the young man go through the process. But if you get a second year out of him, and I think you're going to see this with Tommy Lloyd and some of his recruiting. Now let's just use Cam. I think you're going to start seeing a combination of, you're going to try to get the uber elite kids. You're going to try to get the Koa Petes. You're obviously trying to get the Cam Williams. But I also think you're going to start seeing guys like a Cam Holmes that is probably a 2-year player that, and again, if things go in a different direction, he's a 1-year player, so be it. But I think you're going to start seeing that along with the international route as well. But this is the kind of kid that you win a college basketball championship with. Maybe he's not this, the tip of the sword or the tip of the spear, whatever that term is.
Be careful there.
Yeah, whatever that. Yeah, no better one. But it's nothing really like that. But he can, he's a good player. He's going to play in the MNBA for a long time, and he's also cerebral as well. When you watch him play, because I remember like early on, some people were trying to say that he, can he be a point guard? No, he's not a point guard. But the reason that I think some people at least maybe had a little bit of that idea is that he's a pretty good ball handler. He's a really nifty passer, and he can finish. I mean, he can do everything pretty well. He's just not a next level 10+ athlete or a guy that you watch and you're like, oh man, he just had 48 points. It takes a little time, but I think as a freshman, I think he's in that 22, 23 minute per game realm, probably 9, 4, 2, something like that. And then I think if he's here as a sophomore, you're looking at a very legitimate all Big 12 type player.
Yeah, when we say multi-year player, like I don't want people to think we're saying as a freshman he's going to suck. Like he's not going to suck as a freshman. We're just saying, we've said this way before Cam Holmes, we'll say way after. Not all 5 stars are alike. Correct. Right? Like you see it this year, like Darren Peterson, Boozer, Pete, like those guys are different animals, right?
Right.
he's going to be fine as a freshman. Like, he's going to play. He's going to have a role. We don't know what this roster is going to look like next season at all. We don't know who's leaving, right? But we know that Cam Holmes is going to come in and there's going to be some stability there. And Tommy's going to have a role for him and all that. And, he's going to be a successful player. I think he works too hard. He's too good of a kid, and he comes from too good of a family to fail. Like, there's certain things you look at. Will this kid be successful or not? It may be the Deron Holmes path, where it just takes him 4 years and he's still in the NBA. If that's the path, cool.
What people also need to understand, and I watched Deron Holmes a lot in college. College as well. But I always thought that, and Sean Miller was an ace at recruiting. I always thought they probably should have prioritized Deron Holmes a little bit earlier, but I also understand why they didn't, because he could get, Sean was getting 5-star after 5-star. Yeah, so, I get it. But he's a totally different player than his brother. So if you're looking at it and you're like, what can he do? Cam Holmes is a perimeter basketball player. He will always be a perimeter basketball player. That's how he plays. Deron Holmes was a guy that, when he was in high school, he was somebody that you tried to project as maybe being a 4-man or an athletic, wiry combo type forward. Cam Holmes has way more guard skills than his brother. Now, again, he's not as tall as his brother. He's probably not quite as athletic as his brother. He's just a totally different type of player. So, when you can't really look at anything that Deron Holmes does and compare it to Cam.
No, different player. I was more of comparing their trajectory.
No, I know.
Yeah, as players, they're just different. I don't really remember Deron Holmes that well in high school, because Arizona didn't really recruit him, like you mentioned.
Yeah, Sean Miller, just not a good recruiter.
Yeah, Cameron Holmes is a wing. Right. Now, can he grow into a 4-man? Yeah, but even as a 4-man, he wouldn't be Deron. Like, they're just different types of players. Like, Cameron Holmes is a better ball handler, and they're just different kinds of players. I don't know who I would really compare him to, but he's good. Like, I like Cam Holmes. Like, I've seen Cam Holmes dominate some really good players.
And this wasn't a kid, and I got to give you a lot of credit on this. This wasn't a kid that you said you would slow play. This wasn't a kid that you said that, you would maybe, No,
I liked him from the minute I saw him. I think I told you right away, this is a kid Arizona should be all
This
up.
Wasn't a Cam Williams or a Koa Pete where you needed to see a little bit more. This was a situation where Jason Elshier was totally in on him from day one. Okay, so now what's next? Obviously, you got a couple more in-state kids, duh. I'm just going to say it right now. I think Cam Williams, I think that's a 50-50 thing. And listen, if anybody tells you they know where he's going, they're just taking a guess. They don't know. Nobody knows in his recruitment where for sure he's going. You want to say that?
For Cam Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows. It changes daily. Texas thinks they're still in it. That would surprise me a little bit. I think it's Arizona Duke, and the longer this goes, I think it's better for Arizona. I
do believe that Arizona will. You got another 5-star kid in state that's probably going to reclassify. I have no inside information on this, but I do believe that when there's a time for Diggs to commit, I do believe that he's going to be an Arizona Wildcat. That's my opinion. What say you, Skier?
I won't go that far, because you that's not my style, Mike. But
that's not my. Well, nobody cares what I say anyway, so I can put it out.
They'll be in it. They'll absolutely be in it. The rumor of him reclassifying has been around for a while, and he has yet to do it. So we'll see if he does. But look, any 5-star kid, Arizona's going to be in the top 3 just to begin with, and then go from there.
That's what we do. We're not ASU, my friend. Okay, now, we got a big show coming up tomorrow. We are going to be talking a lot of Arizona Bowl eligibility, my friend. We are a football and a basketball school. Arizona basketball as well, getting a big commit. We're going to have a fun thumbnail. I think Cody's going to knock it out of the park with that request. But also, everybody, get to Little Caesars. Code 1099 bundle, classic pepperoni and cheese pizza, crazy combo with any and 2-liter, 1099 purchase, and code LCFREECC, free crazy combo with any purchase. For the Dawn and Mr. Jason Shear, I am merely Mike Luke. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Oh, and we have Tim Daniel on Wednesday. We will be able to confirm